Hello, explorers. I'm Colleen Hanycz. Well, these past few weeks have been nothing short of surreal. We've all been challenged to find a new way to teach, to learn, to work, to live. And in the midst of all of this, we realize how much we take our human interactions for granted. As I walked across campus this morning, I was struck by just how empty it felt without all of you. So I wanted to take a moment to connect beyond the written word of the memos and the updates and the emails and the notices, in what is now perhaps the closest thing that we have to a face-to-face conversation as we navigate these extraordinary times. As the situation in our region and world has evolved so rapidly, our university task force has been working around the clock to gather the most up-to-date information, to make strategic recommendations, and to work to minimize the impacts of this global pandemic on our LaSalle community. Decisions that just a few short weeks ago would have seemed unimaginable have now become the only choices we have. Empty the residence in March? Of course not. Postpone commencement? Impossible. Cancel all sports, including March Madness? Never. Now, these surreal decisions are becoming routine as we continue to pivot to each new piece of information or government mandate in a way that allows us to prioritize the safety and well-being of our students, faculty, staff, and LaSalle families. I am beyond grateful for all of your dedication and your willingness to adapt to this fluid situation. As we've worked quickly using every minute of the day and night to transition all of our learning and work to online or remote formats, this community has come together and risen to the challenge in a way that leaves me filled with LaSalle pride. And yet, it hasn't been easy. This pace and scope of change is not without its escalating stress. Well, we've not had a positive case of COVID-19 on our campus as of this point. I suspect that some of you may well have friends, families, or neighbors in your circle who are being directly impacted by this virus. For me, I'm comforted by returning to the three key pillars: family, community, and faith. During this time of social distancing, many of us are fortunate enough to get to spend a little bit of extra time with our families. I encourage all of you to cherish this as the silver lining. For those of you who, like Peter and I, have young adults at home, suddenly grounded from all of their friends and their commitments and sports and busyness and jobs, our return to old school has been kind of nice. I see so many of you in our Explorer family who are telling stories on social media of spending extra time with your young children or your grandchildren without some of the daily stresses that we are so accustomed to. And for those of you who are not able to be near your immediate families, I know that many of you have continued to keep closely connected to your LaSalle family. And so we see that even in imperfect situations, family continues. The importance of our community has never been more poignant to me. I've witnessed firsthand the incredible will and dedication of our Explorer Nation as we have joined one another in navigating this unprecedented situation. The coming weeks and months are certain to be filled with continuing challenges for all of us. So I'm going to ask your help in finding new ways for us to stay connected as a community, as we cannot allow physical distance to interrupt the bonds and connections that we have formed with one another. I see groups of our student athletes gathering on social media who are sharing the great things that they are doing to keep happy, fit, and well. I see the same with various Explorer clubs and fraternities and sororities. Our students are understanding how to interact in this reality. I know we are also working on book clubs and a mini speaker series for our alumni explorers. Zoom has become an integral part of our lives. And I know that so many of you are checking in on one another to see how everyone is managing. So in addition to family and community, I encourage each of you to rely on your faith during these trying times. Lent is our period of anticipation and of waiting for the resurrection of Easter Sunday. Let us imagine that this Lenten season holds even more anticipation given our circumstances. But never forget that Easter is indeed coming. Whatever your faith or beliefs, know that God is walking beside each of us as we navigate the challenges of this time. Let us continue to remember in prayer our first responders and healthcare workers who are the heroes of the front lines of this crisis, and sacrificing their personal safety for the benefit of all of us. May God watch over each of these brave women and men and bless them with health and courage. On Friday, we celebrated the 157th anniversary of LaSalle University's charter. The strength of our community and its commitment to the greater good is what gives me hope in these days. As I am reminded in rereading Father Thomas Donaghy's book, Conceived in Crisis, A History of LaSalle College, LaSalle has faced many troubling moments in our almost 160 years, and we have overcome each and every one of them. St. LaSalle would appreciate the resilience, creativity, collaboration, and innovation that we are continuing to bring to this most recent moment in our history. So my wish for you, explorers, is for continued health, peace, and courage. Take this global moment to pause, to reflect, and to plan for what lies ahead when this is behind us. It will one day be behind us. May we be better, stronger, and more connected to one another as we move through what faces us now. When it comes to social distancing and flattening the curve, thank you each for doing your part and for allowing us to do ours. St. John Baptist of LaSalle, pray for us and live Jesus in our hearts forever.